Hi everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to draw a sphere, and it's easier than you think. What you're going to need is a pencil, a ruler, a piece of paper towel or Kleenex or cloth even, anything just to kind of blend with. And finally something to draw your circle with. I happen to have a piece of tape or a roll of tape on my desk, and anything will do. That is round. You don't want it to be too big, nor do you want it to be too small. For example, this would be too small for the exercise today. What you're going to do is near the middle of your page, you're going to trace your circle. Make sure you do a solid job with that. Next, you're going to draw a light source. Does not have to be anything fancy. Label it as our light source. The next thing you're going to do is we're going to draw some reference lines, some lines that are going to tell us where the light is going. So from the edge of your sphere to the edge of your light source, very, very lightly, I do some dotted lines. Eventually we'll erase these. That's why I'm doing them very light. So again, some dotted lines. You can do solid lines if you want, but I prefer dotted, just less to erase when we're done. And lastly, we're going to do a reference line just in the center. These reference lines are good for beginners because it's going to kind of set up a bit of a frame of reference for where to shade in your circle. Now, this light source, we have to think about this drawing in 3D. We've got our x-axis, our y-axis, and our z-axis. And the z-axis is coming out of the page, okay? So this light source is somewhere on the z-axis. And for our purposes today, I'm gonna pretend that it's kind of up here. You know, it's in line there, and I'm gonna have it kind of shoot down like that, pretending that the eraser tip is the light. So what I do is I very, very lightly, I draw a circle, and that's the point of contact for the light. So then this is going to be the lightest space of the circle, and everything getting further and further and further away is going to be darker. Now, the next thing I do is I like to draw a little ellipse, or isn't it an ellipse? Crescent, little crescent moon kind of thing, just like that. And this is just really a reference to let me know where I'm going to be shading and how I'm going to be shading. And you kind of want to follow the curve of the circle and keep in mind kind of where your light source is coming from. And it's just kind of a rough sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to erase it eventually. Yeah. Anyway, you can fix it with the shading. Now, the next thing to remember is when you're shading, use the side of your pencil. You don't want to use the tip, because I see lots of students using the tip like that. And what that's going to create are a lot of really fine lines. And for our exercise today, it's going to be more advantageous if you use the side of your pencil. So again, our light source is here. So the darkest part of the circle is going to be here. And just for the sake of example, and we're going to get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter until we reach that point there. Now I'm actually going to erase my reference line because, as you'll see, it's actually darker than my shading. It's darker than what I want it to be. Okay? And what I do is I kind of just do a general sketch, like a general shading sketch. I try and almost sketch that crescent back in just so that I know kind of where things are. I'm going to go with the curve of the circle. That's going to help kind of the viewer believe that it is in fact round. Additionally, this is actually going to be a little dark back here as well. So what I want you to do is just kind of generally shade around the circle, keeping in mind the curvature and your crescent, okay? You can always make things darker. It's harder to make something lighter. It's easy to make something darker. So start with a very light stroke. Now at this stage, what we're kind of doing is whirlpooling slowly to that center point. So I want to kind of get my blend and kind of extend that reference to the center. And once I have my center, once I kind of have it even, I'm just going to erase that reference. Now I can see that I have my crescent there. Now it's just a matter of shading it and slowly getting lighter as you approach that light source. So obviously it's going to be darker back here, and it's going to get gradually lighter as we approach our light source. Then say over here, it's going to get dark and then light much faster, because this is a smaller distance, because our light source is here. So now it's really just kind of filling it in. You're starting with the dark edge, and you're kind of just going in that motion, getting it lighter. And again, I always kind of do it by sections. I'm doing a very light side of the pencil shading technique, because again, I can always make something darker. It's more challenging to make it lighter. You can, but the eraser is going to leave marks, and it's a little harder to blend in. Now, you can see that this is where I gave that demonstration. I'm going to really dig into here and make this section much darker. As I'm shading, I'm kind of going in swirls like that to kind of make sure that there's no really straight lines in here. Just because it's going to kind of cheat the eye a little bit more. You're less likely to make a mistake of like a hard straight line like that. That's going to be hard to blend or erase, because we want people to believe that this is round. I think that's okay there. I'm just going to kind of erase some of these reference lines, tidy that up around the edge a little bit. At this point, what I would suggest you do is grab your paper towel or your Kleenex, or even those little makeup pad removers, cotton pads, and just I'm going in circles, circular motions. See how much graphite that picks up? Going in circular motions, and I'm going to blend my kind of starting on the edges, starting on the darkest spots. I'm going to blend it. And to be honest, paper towel isn't the best material to use. It's kind of just what I have on hand here, because it smudges and picks it up really, really easily. So to make it easier on yourself, Kleenex is kind of a better option that's available. And I'm just going to kind of blend in blend in these lines and get rid of any sharp lines. One cool effect that I'm not really wanting to do here, but if you go past your circle like that, you can kind of give the illusion that it's glowing. That's not really what I'm wanting to do here today, but hey, it's something you can do. And you can also see that there's stuff like underneath my desk that's making it. Okay, so you can see that I have a bit of a swirl there that's darker than some of the stuff behind here. So in order to kind of hide that, I'm going to make this back space darker than what I currently have it. I'm going to try and really get in there. Really fill any white space that's really close to the edge, just to really give that illusion of depth. I don't think it's technically called negative space, but we can just call it depth. Okay. I've done a lot of these today because I was wanting to do this tutorial, and in every one I kept missing important information. So at the end, I'll show you all the spheres I drew today using this technique. So they're all kind of different. Every sphere is going to kind of take on a life of its own. It's going to kind of become its own thing. You know what? I'm even going to erase that because I feel like that's getting too dark. And don't worry, it'll blend in quite nicely. You can even just use your finger a little bit. Okay, gonna get back and try some paper towel again, find an edge that isn't covered. And I'm getting a little bit picky here. I mean, I wanted to show you just how thorough you can be with this, and I mean, this isn't like crazy professional, but it's a good start for folks that are maybe new to the whole idea of shading, the idea of, you know, learning where a light source comes from. It's also very challenging to see with this. I have these giant fluorescent lights above my head right now, and it's quite a bit of glare on the graphite, and that's making it kind of hard to know where to commit. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty good. I'm actually gonna I really want that to be lighter. There. Sure, we'll call that a day. Well, thanks for watching. If you have any tips or tricks for me to learn, I'm welcome to hear your feedback. Other than that, would love to see your progress. Would love to see your version of this drawing. Here are the other versions I did today. I did so many. Oh boy. But as you can see, they're all kind of unique. They're all kind of different. Let's see here. There you go. Those are the ones I did today. So they all kind of have slightly different shades, different hues, but at the end of the day, it's the same technique that made them all. Anyway, I appreciate you watching, and thanks again.